start with the obvious. Did you give them any thought to how you're going to feel walking into Rupp and playing against your former boss?
I have not. I'm more concerned with how do I get these guys ready for the physicality of a Kentucky, where, you know, people are looking at them and saying they're down. They're not down from what I watched. And I listened to the press conference of Cal talk about the open shots that they miss. Easily, they missed 6, 7, 8 wide open shots. A lot of them in transition. So for me, my main concern is to prepare these guys as best as we can to make sure they're prepared for a war, a physicality to the game that probably be the most physical team that we play, with Oscar playing the game trying to get 20 rebounds. That's the way he plays, constantly fighting for every rebound on every possession on both ends of the court. Never really being outside the lane, always in the lane, fighting for position offensively and defensively. So that's my number one priority.
Kenny, the last time we spoke to you, you said how you and the players wanted to kind of use Christmas break to mentally reset and refocus while you have extended time away. Do you feel like you guys were able to properly utilize that time away and are in a bit better mental state right now?
Well, my goal was to give them 2 or 3 days off and for them to reflect on what they could do and give us 5% more, 10% more of what they're doing, for them to figure out what that is, and then come back and talk to us about what they see. And then also coming off of those days off, how do we prepare for a game that's in a lot of people's minds and in our minds the most important game of the year against our biggest rivalry? And what does a rivalry really mean? Getting them to understand the emotional ties to both programs and what it means to this state, that we represent Louisville in the right way, with our energy, with our effort, with our fight, with our discipline, with our focus, in our physicality, to play a team that's talent-wise one of the top teams in the country, it's going to finish this season and people will see one of the best teams in the country. So we have to go out and prepare and mentally know what we're facing.
Kenny, you've walked out of the other tunnel a whole bunch of times and sat on the other bench. One, do you know where the visitors' locker room is? And two, what's it going to be like coming out into that place again?
Haven't really thought about it. More thinking about the players, but obviously it'll be emotional. Had a lot of great memories there, but I'm at home, and I said it before, I say it again. I just want to win the game by 1, and I'll run out the arena and get out of there. So that's more the way I process this.
Did you have any role in recruiting any of the current players?
Obviously, yes. Spent a lot of time with Oscar, spent time with Jacob Toppin. So I know pretty much most of the guys, Chris Livingston. So I keep up with them and see how they're playing and all of that, wish them well, except for Saturday.
You mentioned Oscar. Obviously, he's tough for anybody to stop. How do you slow somebody on both ends that's as talented as he is?
Well, one, you got to understand how he's doing what he's doing. He's relentless. More than people know, you're looking at a guy that's 6'7", 6'8", but his energy and his effort to fight for every single rebound is relentless. Very rarely do you see a player that's fighting for low post position offensively, but also fighting for offensive rebounds, but also screening his defender out so that the guard can drive and get layups. He's a force. And in order to deal with that force, you have to match it with that same energy, if not surpass it, in that same physicality. So Sidney, Brandon, Roosevelt, JJ, got their hands full. And we watched a lot of film of exactly what he's doing. I think out of 4 games that we watched, I don't know if he caught the ball outside the lane once. Think about what I just said. 4 games, and the ball was always caught somewhere near the jump circle, the circle right under the basket, the charge circle. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And it goes to show how hard he plays, how physical he is, how he's imposing his will on the game, and much respect to him. He's, without a doubt, if one of the best bigs in the country, but without a doubt, the best rebounder in this country.
Besides him, what else do you have to contend with?
The pressure defensively, I think they do a good job of getting after you. They will run and jump. They'll press you. They'll get after the ball. Also, I think transition, they're really good. Throwing ahead to shooters with Reeves and Case and Wallace, but also the transition is also geared toward Oscar, because no matter where he is, if he's the last player down, he's running under the basket, and it's 4-round 1. So you got to deal with him there too. The rebounding, elite rebounding team that at times are sending 4 players to the offensive glass. So we've been working on all 5 rebounding. So even if the point guard doesn't go, we send a point guard in. So just so that we can, maybe send 2 to Oscar, as an example.
As much as you've tried to, I guess as much as the guys understand the importance of rivalry, how have you been trying to balance that versus the perspective of the big picture with the whole season, considering the start?
Well, the first part is the rivalry. Understanding what this means to all the people involved. The Kentucky fans, the Louisville fans, the schools, the administration, the state of Kentucky, all of that. They need to understand that. Sometimes young people overlook it and they only worry about their home. I was fortunate enough to be going to school here when they said no matter what happened in the regular season, you beat Kentucky, you made your season. That's where I'm coming from. So I understand what this is. I have a firsthand view of being a player and also being on the other side of it. So getting them to understand, one, how Cal is going to view it, how the players are going to view it. They're coming off a loss. What does that mean? I've seen all of that. So I know, and what I'm trying to get them to understand is that for them, it may be more than a game. It may be a statement, and you better be ready to match the statement that they're trying to make.
Kenny, you said you talked to the players when they went home, reflecting about what they could do better and what they think of what's happened. How much time did you spend doing that and looking at personnel and saying, okay, these are guys that I might need to play more, and then these are some guys that, maybe not as much?
Well, great question. First, I looked at a bunch of Kentucky games. Second, I looked back at a few of our games where we played well and said, okay, what did we do when we played well? And, the main thing is, what I've seen is that, one, everybody played and was productive that stepped on the floor. We took care of the basketball. Yeah, we may have had segments where we was disoriented or adversity hit and we were on our heels. But when we play well, everybody's involved. We're playing with an energy, a toughness, a fight. We're rebounding the ball. We're taking care of the ball. So I have to look at that. And then I have to look at combinations, which is the hard part. For me, it's finding who can play well with who and when they play well. And to be honest with you, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I wish I could say that I got 7 guys that I know I'm getting. I don't. Wish I could say I got 4. I don't. I don't know until the game is going on. And so what I'm constantly doing is shuffling it during the game and trying to figure out what's working at that moment.
Kenny, the idea of not knowing what you're going to get night in and night out from anybody in particular. This was a thing, I know you weren't here, but it's a thing that came up last year too, with a lot of the same players. How do you get to that point with a guy? How do you get a guy to a point where you can just know, even if it's not the very peak of what he can do, you know what it's going to be?
Great question. That's why coaching is every single day, every moment of your life. That's why coaches are up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's why we don't sleep. That's why, you know, every single day of your life you're trying to figure out, and it consumes your every day. Trying to figure out and find a way to get a kid to understand this is what I need, this is what I want you to do, understand why. Understand why. You know, as an example to your point, I want L to have practices where he does not shoot the ball, so he gets a feel for what it's like to facilitate a game, so that when he's in a game and he knows the defense is going to do something geared toward him, he's comfortable making plays for others. And then being in the game and being secure with who you are and where you are in the game, knowing you're a really good player, I don't have to be a scorer to have impact on the game. I can create shots. And then trusting your teammates to make sure when they do make shots, you're clapping for them and you're encouraging.
Talked about the rivalry, Kenny. Two things. When you came here, how long did it take, and how did you get to feel how important the rivalry was? And does any particular moment during your playing career against them stand out?
First part of that question, I think I got here in the summer, and we were in Crawford Gym, and it was all the freshmen. We were in there shooting around, and a gentleman who was around the program, I can't remember who he was, brought us all in a huddle and said, let me explain to you what Louisville basketball is. No matter what happens in the season, you beat Kentucky, you're making a lot of people happy. Like, what? So we can go 0-? Yes, you can go 0-. Now, I'm 17, 18 years old, and an adult is looking at me saying this, and I'm like, what in the world is he talking about? We don't want to lose a game. Didn't know what Kentucky was coming from Mississippi. And now, sort of, but knew, but didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I was recruited by him, but didn't understand the rivalry until I got here. And that was my first day on campus. You know, going back to the games, it's just wars. You know, wars as four-year player at the university, wars as coaching against Louisville, wars as I know what we are walking into. And I'm hoping that I can get the players to understand that this is a little different. It's a little different.
When you have a game that's a little different, you know, a lot of times you'll hear things like, oh, they came out too tight or they were anxious and started slow. Is there anything that you can do? Obviously, you've got the experience as an assistant, as a player, to kind of thwart that possibility creeping in?
I would hope so, without going into game plans. I think there are things that the mindset has to be. The first thing, just saying it, is be the aggressor. If you're trying to feel your way through it, they're going to hit first. If they hit first, that means you're on your heels. They're going to smell it. They're going to feel it if you're on your heels. And that's in any sport and any life. The person that hits first is putting the other person on their heels. So that's should be our goal.
Last 4 games, Sydney's averaged over 12 points, I think 9 rebounds, shooting close to 70%. Do you feel like he's turned a corner? How important is that for this team's improvement to have a consistent post presence like him? And did he come back still trending the right way in terms of being in shape?
I'm very happy with where Sid is headed. I like more. I like for his energy. I like for him to feel it. not for me to see it or you to see it or the fans to see it. I want him to digest what he's done to get to this point, being on the diet, seeing his body change, seeing his energy go up, eating right, coach calling me in the middle of the night, don't cheat on me, don't cheat on me, please don't cheat on me. I want him to not cheat on himself. That makes sense? So to answer your question, time will tell. I'm looking at this as another month will tell the story of if he really fully grasps just the importance of how you feel is connected to how you eat, how you live. Not just, I can eat anything and go play basketball. That's not what the elite do. The elite knows that I have to eat a certain way, I have to think a certain way, I have to live a certain way in order for all these things to be in the right place. So hopefully that answers your question. We're still watching, it's still a work in progress.
What about in terms of the part of if he can do that and give you a legit post presence?
If he can do that and give us a legit post presence, I'm happy. I'm happy. Again, like we talked about, I need to know who and what I can count on from each guy, and I need that to be consistent.
Kenny, you mentioned a bit how Cal views the rivalry, and I guess you could argue that nobody knows him better than you in terms of how he game plans, how he gets ready for games. It's a bit of an obvious question, but how much do you pull from that knowledge and experience to try and have an advantage going up against him head-to-head for the first time?
Well, one, I don't know if it is an advantage in knowing. The advantage is in, can the kids understand that there's something different about this game? Can they digest something's different about this game? Something's different about this rivalry. Something's different about the focus you have to play this team. Something different about the intensity, the energy. Not just the energy of the rivalry, just playing the game, but now you're going into their den. You're going into Rupp Arena. You better understand that there will be 25,000, whatever, and they're going to be on you, and we have to fight. It's more important that they get it, and I try, and I have been trying, and will continue to try to get them to understand just what they're walking into and what it takes to deal with it.
Kenny, I appreciate these answers because I think a lot of times when you get to a game like this, the coach will say, it's just another game, right? We treat them all the same. And you're clearly saying this one is a little different. What makes you comfortable just saying, I think a lot of coaches don't like to say that the game is not like every game?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to be authentic as I can be, original, genuine as I can be, and as honest as I can be. I don't know why coaches, I know they want to take the pressure off the kids. I don't want to do that. I want them to know. Because this, again, I'm going to say it, we win or we learn. I want them to know the importance of this program. I want them to know what it means to wear that jersey, what it means. I lived it. So, and it's hard to explain this to people because I have a lot of people that don't know Louisville that's telling me about Louisville. I lived it. So my point to it is I need to build a culture. And please understand what I'm saying when I say I lived it. So the culture that I came from, as an example, before we played games, a group of players got together and talked. If you don't play well, you're not eating pregame meal. That's where the culture I came from. Where if you didn't play well, oh no, you ain't eating with us. you know, Pervert would go and take the plate and throw it in the trash. You ain't eating. What you like? That's the environment that I grew up in with Louisville basketball. That's the care factor that I grew up. It wasn't just about the one individual. It was about the group. The night before we played games, we were wrestling, beating each other up to get a mental like, okay, I'll fight you. Amongst each other to go out and fight the other team. It's hard for me to sit back and sugarcoat what exactly it means to wear this jersey. And again, I go back to this. I want to be as honest as I can. I want to be as authentic as I can, and I'm going to be. I'm not sugarcoating this. This is a rivalry, and it means a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Cal. It means a lot to the Kentucky fans. It means a lot to the Louisville fans. It means something to the universities. It means something to this state. It's not just go dribble and shoot a basketball and whatever happens, happens. That's not what this is. That may be somewhere else. It's not in the state of Kentucky. So that's why. That's why.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
JJ and Kamari.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a little better than that. Yeah, that's all it is. So focused on it. Which one's that one he made in the first half. Were you there in the first half of the one that was like 50 feet in the air? Covered me. He killed. He came out in the second half and hit three in the first 3.5 minutes. Pushed the lead out to 19. That's terrible. Yeah, probably covered him. Shoulder injury. Johnson and Suter, they hopped it. Two shots. He made them both. Kurt hopped. Is that the kid from North Harrison who went to Wake Forest or somewhere down there? He went to Wilmington? He was in there. 6'10" guy? 6'9"? And we're Fleming, and there was, who was the other kid? There was another like 6'7" front court player. Another Indiana kid, he was like from Vincennes or somewhere over that way. Right. No, he's shooter though. But there was another guy, he was like a 6'7" guy, kind of played wing.
He looked like a 6'5" guy without injured last night. Decent player.
Who's that?
Ashburn.
But like,
You kind of wish they had kept it.
Ethan Claycomb.
I can't make it.
Yeah, he gave him some nice stuff. Vincennes. I think I had that part.
I felt.
Oh, missing from last year's team. They're not quite as good on
I guess for some people, this makes it better because they're different. But
even though they just won.
5, they gave my news and they don't want it.
It's not. App State got blown out. Marshall beat App State 79-53 at App State. And Wright State lost to Durham 78-64. Northern Kentucky, Durham did. think it's this year, right? 'Cause this was the last football season. Yeah, because they were celebrating the departure of Gary Glenn. You know, like, will ABC have a game going forward? Will they do? Thanks.
Yeah, JJ, Coach Payne spent a lot of time talking about the rivalry and how important it is. I assume you didn't need to be trained in that regard. You grew up with it, right? I mean, living in Kentucky. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the rivalry's always been very big. I remember, my dad played here, and even after that, I just remember in school, it'd be like off day almost when Kentucky played Louisville. We'd watch the games in class, and, the history is there, and it's just an exciting day, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Kamari, similar question. You're not from here. You didn't grow up with the rivalry, but what have you learned about it, since, I guess, over the last week or so?
It's definitely a big deal. You know what I'm saying? The coaches emphasize it a lot. That it's not a normal game. It's a really important game, especially for us, in the community here, to beat Kentucky. And, once I got here and I figured out, even when I first got here, there's a big emphasis, like, beat Kentucky, beat Kentucky. That's what a lot of people say. So I know how important it is here, and I'm definitely, ready for it.
Kamari, a lot of times coaches will kind of downplay. They'll say, well, we treat every game the same. No game is different. What's it tell you that Kenny has really embraced this and told you guys that it's a big thing?
A lot, actually. Like I said, this is the first time he's really said something like that where it's like way more than basketball, like this is like, it's going to be war, between two teams. And I just feel like, what I'm saying, it's personal for everybody on the team, and especially for Coach. And so I think we're all taking this like very seriously and just, try to play our hardest.
Coach Payne said he told you guys when you went on break to spend some time reflecting about what you guys can do better, what the team can do better. What did you tell him when you came back?
Well, we just had, when we got back, we just had film and, caught up with each other and, just asked ourselves are we willing and ready to turn our season around. And, we just try to stay positive and, we watched the NC State game, learned from that, and just kept moving forward.
I feel like mostly, when we came back, like I said in the film room, he was just asking us, like, what all could we bring more to the table, and could we all each bring 5 to 10% more, so I went home, and, I just tried to, work on my game, just watch my previous games from all of the season and just see my weaknesses and see what I can work on and help bring to the team.
What have you seen, or when you've watched Kentucky, what stands out about them?
I would say they play really fast. They have a really fast guard in Severe Wheeler, and he likes to push the ball up the court really fast. And, they have Oscar as well, who, sometimes their offense is just him and just, early post-ups and offensive rebounds. And, we've been emphasizing working on that. And, they're a fast, athletic team. And, I think we match up well.
I think the main thing with them is they play hard. They got, like I said, Oscar, he's a beast inside, rebounding and blocking shots and scoring in the paint. And they got the two combo guards and Severe and Kaysen that, like, complement him well. Be on the perimeter, have speed and quickness to help out on the perimeter. And they got good wings, good athletic wings that can jump, finish around the rim, and they got good shooters. I think they're a real organized team. And like I said, they play hard and they don't stop. They don't stop the whole game, and that's why I feel like we got to match their energy and hit them first.
JJ, Kenny mentioned you along with Sidney, Rose, and Brandon as the guys are going to have your hands full in slowing down Oscar. When you see him on film, what can you do to slow down a guy like that that's so effective in many different things on the floor?
Well, with him, he plays so hard. You just got to fight. He's down there. He's probably the first person down, and as soon as he gets down, he's trying to get the ball. He's sealing for 5-10 seconds in the paint, and you just got to be alert and see the ball. And obviously, the people off of Oscar, we got to be alert. Where is he at? How can we come down and help? And that's what we've been working on.
Kenny talked about, for both of you guys, he talked about, in the 80s when he played here, people would tell him it doesn't really matter what else you do, you got to beat Kentucky. I wonder, do you guys allow yourselves to think at all about, from your perspective, from your fans' perspective, what this one would mean given the start, if it would erase some of what's come before?
We've had a rough season. I don't think it would erase our season or fresh start, but I think it would help us, big confidence boost, and it'll help the city as well. Just knowing that we back on and we ready to change things around.
Like what JJ said, I don't think it really erased our season, but at the end of the day, I think, I feel like any win for us will boost our morale, boost our confidence. So coming into this, especially if we beat a team like Kentucky, a really good team with good players, good talent, good coach, if we come out and match their energy and play hard and play well and execute and beat them, I think it's going to definitely push us forward in coming into the last half of the season. So.
Last 4 games, Sydney's averaging close to a double-double and making about 70% of his shots. Do you guys feel like he's turned a corner? And if he can be that kind of post presence every game, how does that change your team?
He's definitely been playing really well the last couple of games, and we notice it, and we're going to keep encouraging him to keep playing that way. And definitely having Sid, being that guy and being dominant definitely changes our team, and it helps us, brings us energy, and just happy for him, happy for us.
Definitely, having that paint presence is a key to any good team. So, especially coming in Kentucky, with Oscar, if he can, match him and fight him all game, then that definitely will help us get closer to a win.
Anything else for these guys? All right, thank you.
Thank you.